The small silver ship landed in the backyard with a quiet hum. Jake blinked twice, holding a mug of coffee in his hand. He had been told an alien exchange student would be staying with him for a month, but no one said she'd arrive by spaceship. The door of the ship opened slowly, and a tall, slim girl with light blue skin stepped out. Her silver eyes sparkled, and her long black hair flowed behind her like a cape. She looked proud, calm, and confident. Jake gave a little wave. "Ah, hi. You must be Lyra." The girl looked at him and nodded once. "I am Lyra of Draxion Prime," she said, her voice smooth but serious. "I am ready to begin Earth Study Protocol." Jake smiled nervously. "Cool. Well, welcome to Earth. I guess I'll show you around the house first." He led her inside, showing her the living room, the kitchen, the hallway. She asked strange questions like, "Is this box alive?" pointing at the fridge, or "Why do you burn plant slices inside metal squares?" while staring at the toaster. Jake tried to answer the best he could, but her confusion made him laugh. Finally, he pointed toward the bathroom. "And that's the bathroom if you need to clean up or use it." He didn't think much about it, just sipped his coffee and sat on the couch. But then, a scream ripped through the house like a missile warning. Jake jumped so hard he dropped his coffee on the floor. Another scream followed, this one even louder. Then came banging, splashing, and a weird alien curse word he didn't understand. Jake ran to the bathroom door. "Lyra, are you okay?" The door swung open, and Lyra burst out, hair wet, eyes wide, voice shaking. "What is that thing?" she shouted, pointing behind her into the bathroom. Jake peeked inside, confused. "You mean the toilet?" She gasped and backed up. "You know its name? It tried to eat me." Jake held back a laugh. No, it's not alive. It's just a toilet. Everyone has one." Lyra crossed her arms, still breathing hard. "I pressed the small metal lever, and it roared at me. Then water spun like a vortex. That's not normal." Jake chuckled. "That's called flushing. It's how it gets rid of waste." She narrowed her eyes. "You dispose of waste by feeding it to a roaring water bowl." Jake laughed louder, but quickly saw she wasn't joking. He tried to explain how it worked, using simple words and calm gestures, but Lyra still looked suspicious. "It moved. I saw the water move. It's alive," she said in a whisper. Jake shook his head. "It's plumbing. Water goes down pipes. Trust me, no monster." She didn't look convinced. That night, Lyra avoided the bathroom like it was cursed. Jake caught her glancing at the door several times, her fingers twitching. When he asked if she wanted to take a shower, she shook her head quickly. "One battle at a time, human." Later, after Jake had gone to bed, Lyra tiptoed out of the guest room. Her bare feet made no sound on the wooden floor. She walked slowly toward the bathroom, a glowing blue stick in her hand, some kind of alien tool. She opened the door slowly, then stepped inside, shutting it behind her. The toilet sat quietly in the dark. She stared at it, eyes narrow. "I know what you are," she whispered. "A silent watcher, a water beast hiding in a white shell." She circled it carefully, raising her scanner stick. The screen showed nothing unusual. Still, she didn't trust it. She lifted the lid again, peeked inside, saw water gently resting at the bottom. Then she reached for the lever. Slowly, her hand shaking, she pressed it down. Flush! The toilet roared again, swirling water around like a whirlpool. Lyra screamed and jumped back, hitting the sink. She pulled out a small force field bubble from her belt and threw it. Boom! Covering the toilet in glowing blue light, the water kept spinning, trapped inside the force field like a wild animal in a cage. Lyra panted, heart racing. "You can't fool me. I've trapped worse creatures in my travels." Then she stared at the bowl and whispered again, "But why? Why do humans sit on it?" Outside, Jake turned over in his sleep, unaware of the bathroom war happening a few feet away. The next morning, Jake rubbed his eyes and walked into the hallway. He noticed a strange blue glow from under the bathroom door. He knocked. "Lyra, you okay in there?" A pause, then her serious voice came through the door. "Do not worry. I have secured your dangerous waste chamber." Jake blinked. "You mean the toilet?" Another pause, then her reply, calm but intense. Yes, it will not harm us again. Jake groaned. What did you do to my bathroom? But inside, Lyra was standing proudly with arms crossed, feeling like a hero. She didn't understand humans yet, or their strange ways, but one thing was sure, she had survived the first battle, and the war with human technology had just begun. Jake was brushing his teeth when he heard a strange sound behind him, a soft humming, followed by tiny beeps. He turned slowly and froze, his eyes locking on the blue-skinned girl crouched beside the toilet. She wasn't touching it, but she had placed 3 glowing alien orbs around it, like she was performing a ritual. "What are you doing?" Jake asked, his toothbrush still in his mouth. Lyra didn't look up. "Shoo, I'm observing," she whispered. "It's pretending to sleep, but I know better." Jake sighed. "It's not alive, Lyra, it's a toilet." She turned her serious eyes toward him. "Then why did it growl when I approached it last night? Why does it swirl like a hungry vortex?" Jake laughed. "It's plumbing. It flushes. That's it." She stood up slowly, pulling out a small screen from her belt. On it was a live feed of the toilet bowl. There were notes written in a strange language. "I call it Subject 7, she said. "It attacks only when threatened, but today I'll test it again." Jake leaned against the doorframe, amused but also nervous. "You're not going to break anything again, right?" She didn't answer. Instead, she reached out and pressed the lever, quickly jumping back like it might explode. The toilet flushed with its usual rush of water, but this time it also let out a high-pitched squeak, just a loose pipe, nothing more. But to Lyra, it was confirmation. "See, it spoke," she yelled, pointing in panic. It made a warning cry. Jake laughed so hard he had to sit down on the tub. "That's not talking. That's a rusty valve." She stared at him, hurt. "You laugh, but this machine could one day drown you while you're sitting on it." Later that day, Jake found her sitting in front of the TV, but not watching it. She had opened the remote control and was poking its insides with a glowing tool. "Are you taking that apart now?" he asked. Lyra looked up, serious as ever. "Your devices lie. The last machine promised warm water, then sprayed my legs with cold mist. I must understand your designs before I trust any of them." Jake handed her a soda can. She took it, stared at it, and said, "Is this a grenade?" He opened it with a push, and she leapt up, knocking over the table in panic. Jake held up the can. "Relax, it's just a fizzy drink. Try it." She sniffed it, sipped slowly, and her eyes widened. "It stings my tongue. Is it poison?" Jake chuckled. "It's called soda. It's supposed to feel tingly." She drank more, then blinked a few times. "You humans are insane." That night, Jake was fast asleep when the house shook with a sudden thud. He shot up in bed, heart pounding, then heard banging from the bathroom again. Rushing to the door, he found it locked from inside. "Lyra, what's going on?" he shouted. Her voice came from behind the door, strained and loud. "It moved. I swear it moved." Jake panicked. "What moved? What did you do?" "I was testing it again," she said through the noise of rushing water. "I flushed it 5 times to test its reactions. Now it's leaking from underneath. It's angry." Jake forced the door open and found Lyra standing on top of the sink, holding a hairbrush like a sword. The toilet was overflowing, water dripping from the tank onto the floor, a small puddle forming. Jake quickly turned off the valve, shaking his head. "You broke my toilet." Lyra jumped down and looked proud. "No, I forced it to reveal its true form." He grabbed a towel and started soaking up the mess, muttering, "Great, so now I have to call a plumber because an alien girl is scared of a toilet." She crouched beside him. "What's a plumber? Is it a warrior who defeats water creatures?" Jake looked at her and couldn't help but laugh again, even while wiping the floor. She smiled a little too, then stood up and said, "Tomorrow I test the silver sink. It spits water too, but it hides its attack until the last second." Jake stood up, tired but smiling. "Remind me to never take you to a water park." But as Lyra walked back to her room, she glanced over her shoulder. Her voice was low but serious. "I'm not finished with that toilet. It's hiding something. I can feel it." And in the quiet of the night, Jake swore he heard the toilet gurgle. Just once, like a warning. Jake was just sitting on the toilet, minding his own business, when the door burst open with a loud crash. He nearly fell off the seat, his eyes wide with shock. There stood Lyra, blue-skinned, barefoot, and holding a glowing alien stick, pointed right at him like a weapon. "Don't move," she shouted. "It's got you. I'll blast it off you." Jake panicked. "Hands up." "Whoa, whoa, Lyra, what are you doing?" She stepped closer. Her eyes narrowed. "You're sitting on it? You willingly placed your body on the beast," he groaned. "It's not a beast. It's a toilet, and I'm using it." Lyra blinked, her face full of confusion and concern. "You are either the bravest human alive, or the most foolish." Jake quickly reached for the towel and covered himself. "Please, can I at least finish first?" She slowly lowered the glowing stick, still suspicious, and backed out of the room. "Fine, but if it tries to bite you, scream twice. That's our emergency signal." Jake sighed so hard he nearly lost his balance again. After he finished, he found Lyra sitting cross-legged on the hallway floor, scribbling notes into her alien tablet. She looked up. "Did it hurt you?" He rolled his eyes. "No, it worked fine. It didn't even growl this time." She nodded. Perhaps it fears you now." He walked past her, heading for the kitchen. "You're seriously making me nervous about my own bathroom." Later that day, Jake tried to teach her other things that would not end in water damage. He handed her the TV remote. "This is for watching entertainment. You press this button to change channels." She took the remote carefully like it was a bomb. "And it obeys you." Jake pressed a few buttons, flipping through the channels. Lyra gasped. "It creates moving images." He smiled. "Yup, pretty cool, huh?" She held it closer to her ear, listening to the beeps. "It makes the same sound as the microwave. I think they are related." Jake laughed. "They're not alive, they're machines." Lyra frowned. "Everything here beeps or flashes or talks. I don't trust any of it." Then she spotted a mirror and walked over, staring into it. Confused, Jake noticed her tail twitching nervously. "That's just a reflection," he said. "That's you." She touched the mirror gently. "Is this another me trapped in a shiny wall?" No, that's your own face." She stared at it for a long time before whispering, "I'm very pretty." Jake smirked. "You're not wrong." Lyra looked away quickly, her blue cheeks turning a slight purple color. "Your compliments are suspicious," she mumbled. "Do they always come before traps?" Jake raised an eyebrow. No." Just then, the microwave beeped loudly in the kitchen, and Lyra jumped behind the couch, peeking over it like she was in battle mode. Jake held up a cup of noodles. "I just warmed this up. See? It's food." Lyra crawled forward slowly, sniffed the steam and nodded. "Spicy, but not dangerous." She tried a bite, then coughed. "Hot lava." Jake grabbed a napkin. "Blow on it first, Lyra. Don't just shove it into your mouth." She blinked, then took another careful bite. Lava tastes good." By evening, she seemed calmer, more curious than afraid. She walked around with her alien tablet, scanning lamps, power outlets, even the fridge magnets. Jake sat on the couch, watching her. "You're really trying hard to learn." She nodded. "Understanding your species may help prevent war in the future." He blinked. "Whoa, war?" Lyra paused. "Not soon, but your machines are unpredictable. If they rise, I must know their weaknesses." Jake smiled. "Still think the toilet is alive?" She turned to him with a completely serious face. "I have not ruled it out." Jake leaned back, hands behind his head. "Well, good luck with that. I'll be in the bathroom on the toilet, risking my life like a brave fool." She narrowed her eyes. "Someday that bravery might be your undoing." Then she walked off to her room, muttering alien words that sounded like calculations and battle strategies. But she stopped once, turned around, and asked in a soft voice, "When you sit on it, do you ever feel like it's breathing?" Jake stared at her for a second, completely speechless. Then she smiled slightly, just a tiny curve of her lips, and disappeared down the hallway. And for the first time, Jake started to wonder, what if she was right? Jake was sitting at the kitchen table when he heard a loud slap and a scream. "You lied to me, box of heat!" Lyra shouted from across the room. He rushed over and saw her standing in front of the microwave, hand red, eyes burning with betrayal. Jake blinked. What did the microwave do this time? Lyra pointed at it, like it was a criminal. "It said 3 minutes. I waited. I trusted. But my food came out cold. It promised warmth and gave me lies." Jake chuckled. "You forgot to press start, didn't you?" She froze, then looked at the buttons again. I pressed time and closed the door. He reached over and pressed start, and the microwave came to life with a hum. Lyra gasped, taking a step back. It obeys only after you give the final command. It demands respect before it begins. Jake laughed. Or maybe you just missed a step. She frowned and crossed her arms. Your machines play games. I don't like games I don't understand. Later, Jake handed her a TV remote, trying to make things easier. This one's safe, he said. Press this button. It turns on the screen. She pressed the power button, and the TV came on, showing a cooking show. Lyra stared at it with wide eyes. Why is this woman talking to a bowl? Jake shrugged. She's showing how to make pasta. Lyra tilted her head. But there is no one else in the room. She speaks into the void. Jake laughed again. She's talking to the audience, like you're doing with your scanner logs. Lyra pressed more buttons and changed the channel. The screen now showed a movie where a giant robot was attacking a city. Her eyes went cold. It has begun, she whispered. Machine rebellion. Jake rolled his eyes. It's just a movie. She pointed at the robot crushing cars. Are you certain? This looks like footage from a war. Jake took the remote back. Okay, maybe no more TV for now. Later that evening, Jake found Lyra in the kitchen again, standing in front of the coffee machine. She watched the steam rise from it, like it was about to explode. He walked up behind her. Want me to make you a cup? She didn't answer right away, still staring at the machine. It growled, she whispered, and then it hissed. Jake pressed the button, and hot coffee began to drip. Lyra jumped back and pulled out her glowing blue alien stick, aiming it at the coffee maker. Jake quickly raised his hands. No, don't shoot the coffee. Lyra hesitated, then slowly lowered her arm. It smells bitter. Is it poison? Jake chuckled. It's strong, but no, it helps humans wake up. She leaned in, sniffed again, then whispered, Your people drink this willingly. He poured a cup and handed it to her. She sipped, then coughed so hard she nearly dropped the mug. By the stars, she wheezed. My mouth has been burned by darkness. Jake gave her sugar and milk to add in. Try again. She sipped, paused, then nodded slowly. Still dangerous, but more gentle. As the sun began to set, Lyra sat quietly on the couch, hugging a pillow. She wasn't playing with her scanner or poking machines. She looked quiet, almost sad. Jake sat next to her. You okay? She didn't answer right away, then said, On my planet, machines never lie. They obey. They speak clearly. Here, everything confuses me. Everything feels like a trick. Jake looked down, thinking, then smiled a little. Yeah, Earth's a mess sometimes. But you're doing better than most people would. She glanced at him. Am I foolish? He shook his head. You're learning. You're brave for trying. Lyra nodded slowly, then looked down at her hands. I broke your microwave yesterday. Jake blinked. Wait, what? I was testing it to see if it could talk back, she said. I pressed all the buttons at once. It made a sound, then it stopped working. Jake sighed. Great. She looked guilty, then whispered, I'll try to fix it, or I'll build you a new one with alien tech. Jake raised an eyebrow. You can do that? She nodded. If I can understand how it lies, I can make one that tells the truth. Then she stood up and walked toward the bathroom, but stopped at the door, staring at the toilet again. Jake tilted his head. You're not going back in there again, are you? Lyra didn't answer, just whispered, If I can master that beast, maybe I can understand your world too. And then, without looking back, she stepped into the bathroom and closed the door behind her. Jake waited, heart pounding. 10 seconds passed, then 20, then boom, followed by a splash and a scream. I tried to understand. It betrayed me. Jake dropped his face into his hands and groaned. This poor girl's gonna flood my entire house. The sound of water dripping echoed down the hallway, slow and steady. Jake stood outside the bathroom door, holding a towel, his face tense. Lyra? He called out. Are you okay in there? There was silence for a moment, then a soft voice answered. I tried to use it, human, Lyra whispered. I really did. Jake opened the door slowly, half afraid of what he might see. And there she was, soaking wet from the knees down, clothes twisted, her glowing alien hair sticking to her face. The floor was covered in water. Toilet paper floated like little ghosts around her feet. She looked up at him, not angry, not scared this time, just tired. "I followed your steps exactly," she said. "Lift lid, sit, release, flush." But then it started spinning again. Jake looked at the toilet. It was still making a soft gurgling noise, and the tank was dripping from the side. He quickly turned off the water valve. "You pressed the flush handle too hard. Twice." She frowned. "You did not tell me it has feelings." Jake grabbed more towels and helped her dry the floor. "It doesn't. It's just old." She nodded, then whispered, "I think it knows I fear it. That's why it attacks." Jake looked at her for a second, then started laughing. "Lyra, it's not personal. The toilet doesn't hate you." She sat on the floor, sighing. "On my planet, waste just disappears. No flushing, no spinning, no sounds." Jake sat beside her, handing her a dry towel. "Sounds boring." She looked at him, curious. "Why do you sit on such machines without armor, without scanning first?" He shrugged. "We grow up with it. It's just normal to us." Lyra leaned her head back against the wall, her voice soft. "Then maybe I'll never be normal here." Jake turned to her, serious now. "Hey, listen, you're doing better than you think. You're trying, you're learning. That's brave." She looked at him, eyes uncertain. "You're not laughing at me." He smiled. "Okay, maybe a little, but not because I'm mocking you. I just think it's cute." Her cheeks turned purple again, and she looked away. "You use that word like a weapon." Jake chuckled. "I mean it in a good way." Lyra stood slowly, trying to dry her feet. "I've failed again. I'll never master this cursed device." Jake stood too. "You will. Just not today. Let's take a break." Later, in the living room, Lyra sat on the floor, surrounded by parts of her alien toolkit, scanning a model of the toilet on her tablet. She muttered to herself, "Maybe if I replace the inner valve with a plasma lock." Jake watched from the couch, sipping a drink. "You're really building your own version." She nodded. "If I can't understand your machines, I'll make one that understands me." That night, Jake offered her some help setting up the guest bed again, but Lyra refused, saying she needed time alone. He gave her space, but as he walked past her room later, he saw her sitting cross-legged on the floor, in total silence. She was staring at a tiny water sample floating above her palm, lit by alien tech. She whispered something to it in her native language, a soft, almost sad sound. Then she sighed. "I tried to be strong. I tried to be smart. But your world keeps beating me." Suddenly, Jake's voice came from the doorway. "Gentle, you're not beaten. You're just a little wet." She looked up, surprised, and saw him holding out a small box. Inside was a gift, a pair of fluffy pink bathroom slippers with little cat ears on them. She stared, confused. "What are these?" Jake grinned. "Armor for your feet, for when you face the toilet again." Lyra took them slowly, looked at them, then smiled. Really smiled for the first time since she arrived. "Then tomorrow," she said, "I fight again." Jake gave her a thumbs up. "That's the spirit." But as he turned to leave, she added softly, "Also, tomorrow, I try the shower." Jake stopped in his tracks, eyes wide. "Wait, the what?" Lyra looked toward the bathroom with determination. "The human waterfall. I've avoided it long enough." Jake backed away slowly. "Maybe we should do that. Another day." She shook her head, serious again. "No, if I can survive the storm bowl, I can face the sky tube." And as the house settled into quiet once more, Jake whispered to himself, "May the plumbing gods have mercy on my home." Fruct. The scream was louder than anything Jake had ever heard. It echoed through the whole house like an emergency siren. He dropped his cereal bowl, scrambled up the stairs, and ran straight toward the bathroom. "Lyra," he shouted, "are you okay?" Another scream came from behind the locked door, followed by wild banging and a loud crash. "The water, it's coming from above. It's alive. It's angry." Jake grabbed the doorknob. "Unlock the door." Inside, Lyra was slipping around on the wet floor, completely covered in soap bubbles. She had fallen into the tub, hair soaked, alien nightclothes clinging to her arms, her glowing skin flickering with panic. The shower was still spraying water from above like a storm cloud. Jake rushed in and turned off the water quickly. "Lyra, what were you doing?" She sat in the tub, dripping wet, holding her alien scanner stick like a sword. "You said it was just a waterfall. You never said it would attack from the ceiling." Jake tried not to laugh, but a small snort escaped. "It's a shower, not a trap." She looked up at him, eyes wild. "It hissed before it struck. I heard the sound. It warned me like a snake." Jake handed her a towel. "You have to adjust the heat first. It takes a few seconds." She wrapped the towel around her head like a battle helmet. It shot cold needles at me. Jake smiled. "That's called bad timing, not betrayal." She slowly stood, slipping again and catching herself on the edge of the tub. "So it's not meant to test my survival?" "No," Jake said, helping her step out. "It's meant to clean you." Lyra frowned. "It tried to drown me in soap." Jake looked down. She had poured half a bottle of shampoo into the tub, and the bubbles were everywhere. "You used way too much," he said, chuckling. "You only need a little." Lyra sat on the toilet lid with a sigh, her whole body deflated. "Your planet hates me." Jake shook his head. "It doesn't hate you. It just needs you to go slower." Later, Lyra sat on the couch, wrapped in a blanket, still drying off. Her hair was puffier now, and she looked like a blue cotton ball with eyes. Jake sat beside her with a hot cup of cocoa. "Try this. It's not a machine. It's just chocolate." She took the mug carefully and sipped, eyes going wide. "Sweet, soft, peaceful." Jake smiled. "Better than the shower?" She nodded slowly. "Yes, but I still feel embarrassed." He tilted his head. "Why?" She looked down. "I used to think I was a top student, smartest in my class, but now I can't even use a human toilet or survive a water spray." Jake leaned back. "Being smart doesn't mean never messing up. It means learning from it." She looked at him, curious. "Then you must be very smart. You use the toilet every day without dying." Jake burst out laughing so hard he spilled his cocoa. "Yeah, that's one way to put it." That evening, Lyra brought her alien tablet to the bathroom and sat down on the floor beside the tub. She began sketching new blueprints, mixing human and alien ideas. She mumbled to herself, "A shower that listens to voice commands, that warns you before spraying, and uses temperature sensors." Jake peeked in and asked, "You building a better one?" She nodded. "If your world won't change for me, I will upgrade it." He smiled. "You know, someday you might be famous for inventing peaceful plumbing." She looked up, dead serious. "If I save just one alien from shampoo doom, it will be worth it." Before bed, Jake gave her a high five and said, "You're doing great, warrior of water." Lyra grinned a little. "Tomorrow, I face the final challenge." Jake raised an eyebrow. "Final challenge?" She stood tall, pointing to the hallway. "Your washing machine, the spinning beast." Jake's eyes widened. "Oh no." But Lyra had already marched away, whispering, "The machine that eats clothes. It must be stopped." Jake called after her, "Please don't destroy my laundry room." Jake rubbed his eyes as he walked down the hallway, still half asleep. The morning sun was peeking through the window, birds were chirping, and everything seemed peaceful until he saw it. A bright blue glow coming from under the bathroom door. His eyes widened. "Oh no, what did she do this time?" He pushed the door open carefully, bracing himself for soap, sparks, or strange smells, and then he froze, completely speechless. His bathroom had been transformed. The toilet was no longer a simple white bowl. It now glowed with soft neon lines, alien symbols floating above the tank. It had a smooth control panel, a built-in scanner, and a tiny holographic screen showing the words, "Welcome, human, ready to serve." Lyra stood proudly beside it, arms crossed, hair pulled back in a clean braid, wearing her favorite Earth hoodie. "I have upgraded your toilet," she said calmly. "You're welcome." Jake blinked. "Is it safe?" She nodded. "Very. It now detects your body temperature, adjusts seat warmth, sings calming sounds during use, and flushes without screaming." Jake walked around it, inspecting it like a museum piece. "It sings." Lyra pressed a button, and the toilet began playing soft alien music, calm and relaxing, like a waterfall in space. Jake chuckled. "Okay, that's kinda awesome," she added. "It also gives compliments. Watch." She pressed another button, and the toilet spoke. "You are brave. You face your daily battles with honor." Jake burst out laughing. "This is ridiculous, but amazing." Lyra smiled with pride. "Now no alien will fear it again." He sat on the new seat slowly, testing it. "Whoa, warm." She nodded. "I call it the Peace Throne." Jake tilted his head. "Better name than the Water Beast, I guess." They both laughed. Later that day, Lyra helped Jake fix the microwave and the washing machine too, using parts from her ship. Now everything had soft lights, friendly messages, and didn't make weird noises anymore. By evening, the house felt like a blend of Earth and something far more advanced. They sat together on the porch, watching the sunset, a soft breeze blowing. Jake sipped some cocoa. "You know, when you first screamed at the toilet, I thought I was in for a nightmare." Lyra smiled. "And when it roared back, I thought Earth was a cursed planet." They both laughed again. He looked at her, more serious now. "But I'm glad you came." She looked down for a moment, then back at him. "Me too." A quiet moment passed, soft and warm. Then Lyra said, "Jake?" "Yeah, I have one last upgrade to show you," she said, standing up and pulling out a small glowing box. Jake raised an eyebrow. "What is it?" She opened the box and pressed a button. Suddenly the house lights changed color, soft music played, and a tiny floating screen popped up showing his schedule, food levels, temperature, and even a toothbrush reminder. Jake gasped. "You turned my house into a smart home." Lyra smiled proudly. "Now your whole home listens, obeys, and never lies." Jake shook his head, amazed. "You're incredible." She looked down shyly, then whispered, "Still afraid of the shower, though?" Jake laughed. "That's fair." Just then, a small voice echoed from the bathroom. "Lyra, you are the bravest girl on Earth." She looked surprised, then smiled. "Did you program it to say that?" Jake scratched his head. "No, I think it said that on its own." They both looked at the house, now glowing gently with soft lights and friendly machines. From battle cries to bedtime peace, it had been a strange journey. But now, Lyra wasn't just an alien visitor. She had become part of this strange, messy human home, and for the first time, she felt like she belonged.